Guys, what's going on? Ace here. Today's gonna be a bit of a different video. Usually I just record showcases and summons and leave it at that, but me and my friend Precision, we thought it'd be fun to kind of do a meta assessment essentially with the new characters releasing of who would have gained or lost value or stayed relatively the same as to how they were before LR Goku Black and the two half percent sparkings that released with him with. I have a pool of pretty big characters. As we go, if I need to add anyone, I actually do believe I need to add you and the Tamagamis. I know I do need to add Baby Vegeta, I believe. No, Baby's already on here, so I'll go ahead and add the Tamagamis. There's one. And there's two. Right, and then is there anyone else I want to add? I don't think so. Looking through ultras, don't really see anyone to add. So we'll just keep it at that, and then I'll quickly cut back to the video when Precision joined. What's going on, guys? It's A's here. Today I am joined with Precision, and we are going to be doing something a little bit different on my channel. We're going to be doing essentially a meta evaluation here. Just taking a look at some characters in the meta that are either affected negatively, positively, or neutrally, which would mean like the same way that they were before Rose released with Ultra God, Super Vegeta, and Xeno Trunks. Did you want to start with the character Precision?
Yeah, so essentially, like Ace said, we will each individually just be choosing a random character and we'll be placing them. You guys see my list on, I'm assuming, his screen, and then we'll make a
Yeah.
part two just to finish it all off. And of course, we do have a supporter list as well.
Yes, we
So
do.
I'll go ahead and choose. I think I'm a little more optimistic on this character than a lot of people are, at least from what I've seen. I'm gonna choose
Okay.
Purple Perfect Form Cell, the one that got a Zenkai, I think, last
Okay.
week or so. I think
Yeah.
he gained value. I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah,
He's
I
a
would.
very good partner for Rose. He is actually able to combo through Bardock, who is also a very prominent character in the meta next to Ultra Rose. His AoE green card is short animation. It's able to nullify the attribute downgrades, aka the card cost. He has a lot of tangible things. The one thing I will say is that his matchup against a lot of these yellow units, most notably the Zenkai Super Saiyan 4 Goku that recently got a neutral mid, is pretty bad because his only form of type neutral just anyway is on switch-ins, and that's just defensive for 5 counts, so he is very susceptible to the snipe. But on the other hand, he also has the death AoE that just
Yeah.
provides value, and that's definitely tripped me up in multiple matches. Got anything to say?
Definitely. I will actually add on at least to the death penalty play or the death attack. When let's say you tackle your opponent and they go right away, you don't expect it. That's happened a lot to me, and Cell has just died. But when Cell dies, if there are two or more enemy battle members, he will seal rush, seal main, and when you enter with your next character, that character should be lowering key and killing a card anyways, so most of the time you can just lead with a strike or a blast and you should be overall good. I think that is a stupid mechanic. I think he is absolutely broken. Especially next to Rose. I said this in pretty much every video I've had Cell in. I think Rose or Cell is really, really good next to Rose. So I would agree in putting him up in the gained value category here.
Yeah, I also want to say, his death AoE, if you are planning on proccing it, or if the enemy chooses to proc it, you kind of have to play a little more proactively in that you have to switch in with the character that still has their advantage, because obviously once he hits you with the death AoE, you're locked in for 3 counts, so
Yep.
if you don't have your advantage, you have way less coin flips that you are able to win.
Yeah, he just forces, no matter which way you take it, it's a pretty negative matchup. If he forces you to switch to another character to proc it, then you're down a switch for about 10 counts or 8 counts due to sub counts. If you don't take that switch, then you're just susceptible to a rose blue from mid range or a rush because you don't seal enemy rush when they swap in. It's just, I think he enables so much for rose. It's ridiculous with that death AoE. Let's see here. What character do... Okay, okay. So I think a lot of people have some crazy opinions on this character right now. I would like to get him out the way as we start. I'm going with Nappa, and I think Nappa, I'm gonna say this, I think he lost just a little bit of value for me. Yeah. And the real main reason for this is not only did he, like when he got that unique, of course he is one tapping everybody out there. But when you're going against Rose and Trunks, like pretty much every match, that combination is broken as is. When you're going against Rose and Trunks every match, and you're just eating Rose blue after blue, you're not really achieving what Nappa wants because on paper, Nappa long range blue obviously pretty good. Rose has a blast cover. Nappa is blast based, but he does still do strike damage. He has the blast armor, all of that, and he is powerful opponent. So theoretically, you could run him with Rose. But then, if you do that, Nappa is just super, super, super susceptible to Bardock. Super susceptible to things like Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I would argue Kid Buu can also just snipe him out just as easily. So I just think he is too risky to run because once that revival procs, Nappa loses a lot of his value. He loses that long range blue. He uses obviously the second life. I believe Nappa in base form probably has more uptime than Vegeta because once he goes into Vegeta, he wants to be a damage dealer. But why use him as a damage dealer when Rose exists? Why use him when Buhan exists, when Bardock exists, when Trunks exists? I just think he provides more value in his base form than his actual revived state. Whereas someone like Cell, they're kind of fulfilling the same role in constant pressure, but I feel like Cell has a lot more gams to make with the death AoE. I think that is just stupid. So that's why I'd say he lost some value for me.
I'm gonna have to say the opposite.
Okay.
But I think he made some good points. But the thing with Nappa, I think he is currently one of, if not the bulkiest unit in outside of maybe Bardock. I don't know what stars you have in that. I have him at 14 and I use him next to Rose. I think he is a great partner for Rose just because of the sub count manipulation that team has. The team that I'm using is Rose, Nappa, and Bardock.
Okay.
And that team has a lot of sustain. Nappa is healing while when he enters the battlefield, he has, of course, like you mentioned, the long range blue. And I also kind of do agree that I feel like Nappa has more uptime than Vegeta in a way. But I think a lot of that is because you can play a little more risky with Nappa just because you still have the revive intact, and Rose does not have the revival disrupt because, of course, Nappa is a dumb character. I agree. The long range blue is a lot of where the value that in which Nappa resides, but I think his overall bulk is something to note just because he has tanked a lot, even without the defensive neutral that he gets when entering the battlefield for like 5 counts. I think him overall, the equipment just gave him an absurd amount of stats. I think was it 180% damage guard?
I think it was, yeah, I think it was 180 guard and 250 damage.
Yeah, so that on top of it is already like 65% reduced damage received. I think that does give him some numbers, and even most of them, I think he still is able to tank. I will say though, I'm not really. Occasionally, I'll see yellow Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Obviously, the most dominant yellows as of right now is Bardock. But Bardock, I think his damage. I think I mentioned this in some other places, but Bardock's damage is really inconsistent if you don't have a dead ally.
Yeah.
And in the meta that we're in right now, you are not really dying that often. I mean, we take a look at the meta. Rose has a second life. I mean, just everyone in
Hmm.
the Xenoverse team has a second life. Vegeta has Nappa Vegeta has a second life. We just scroll through. Revival Gohan, you're not seeing him as much, but he has a second life. Kid Buu has a second life. Trunks, Vegito, a lot of these very prominent units right now are, you know, having a second life, and that just means that you have a lot of timer matches going on. And so Bardock, in that sense, he's a little restricted.
Mm.
But I think, yeah, I will agree. He can be susceptible, mostly post revive, because you're trying to play a lot more careful. You don't have the second life to fall back on. But I think, in terms of matchup, I think Rose is, well, of course, Rose is a good partner for anyone
Yeah.
too. But I think Vegeta, just because he has second life, you're allowed to play a lot more aggressive with him than you would Cell because I think he's more susceptible to sniping. He doesn't have any kind of fallback plan besides his death AoE, but even then, that could still put you at a disadvantage because you're down a
Down a
character,
character.
down more sub counts, down a switch.
Okay, yeah, I definitely see the argument there. I think that is completely true and fair. And actually, thinking about it, I think I might move him up to just same. I don't think he's gained value, but I think he's still floating around in the area he's in. I think you've changed my mind on that, yeah.
Well, I will say another thing is because another reason I think he's gained value is because prior to Rose, you were seeing a lot of yellow characters. You had Trunks and Vegeta, Bardock, Namek, Goku, Super Saiyan 4, the yellow Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Baby occasionally, although he's not really the offensive machine, and
Mhm.
Gohan. But after Rose's release, the only yellow that you're seeing is Bardock and the occasional Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Namek Goku, and even then, they aren't like
They're
I
like,
think maybe once in 15 games.
yeah,
As of course, Bardock's in nearly every game, but I think that alone, just the reduction in yellows, has really helped all these purple characters. That's why you're seeing units like Super Vegito starting to make an appearance again.
yeah, totally, totally, actually. And I would say mostly another thing Rose did was he cleared out all the Gokus. He cleared out every Sun family unit. I mean, like, again, as you mentioned, when do you see Super Saiyan 4 Goku? Once every 15 games. I actually see him more than the Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I've encountered Namek Goku once this entire season. I'm literally like top 2000 right now. I've seen Gohan once, like again, top 2000. There would be like game or days where you would literally face nothing except GT or Sun family, and now you just don't see them anymore. So I think Rose has definitely had a crazy impact on the meta, and I do see the value in Nappa
About time, I
here.
think.
About time, yeah. I was so tired of fighting Sun Family.
Alright, I think it's time for the next character. This one I'm really excited for. I'm gonna have to go with Ultra Super Saiyan Trunks. The biggest come up of the
Oh,
century
oh,
this year.
don't even get
Lord
me
have
started on this character.
gained value. It's not even close.
Not even close,
He,
man.
he provides so much to the table.
So here, let's
First
see.
of all, uh, his matchup with Rose, both of them have buff removal, both of them have sub count manipulation, both of them have second lives. Trunks is able to pair well with Rose, obviously, because equipment wise, and I think a lot of what Trunks is doing adds value to Rose, just because they're both damage dealers. Obviously, I think the one flaw in his kit is that he doesn't draw a card, which really does limit his combo potential unless you actively cut a combo with another character short, so he can
Hmm.
uh, continue the combo more. And Rose just makes Gohan, or not Gohan, Trunks' key gauge go up way faster just because Rose has really easy access to double card draw speed. He has really easy access to just blue card spamming that 50 key or 40 key. He has the ultimates. yada yada yada. And then on the opposing end, uh, facing Goku Black, I think Trunks is the best green, even over Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Goku to deal with Rose, just because he has, I think, better sniping potential than Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Uh,
Yeah.
he has the on full gauge. He has the green card that increases snap count by two. He has the uh, drawing cards after using the card twice, which kind of helps you get over Rose's two card disruption when he gets hit for the first time when he enters the battlefield. And of course, his transcendent mode, his like slash, whatever it's called, I forgot what it's called,
Hope
but
slash.
that does have the sniping potential. And I think a lot of value in that is that you yourself can control when the Sword of Hope goes off, but the enemy can't really see the timers. I think it takes like 15 counts to activate upon
Yeah.
activation, but unless the enemy is keeping like really insane track of the timer counts it takes, they really don't have controls. So there are times where Rose will get sniped, even through like his 5 second defense in neutral, and he will die just from that because Trunks does a lot of damage to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just absurd.
Yeah, there's is there much to say on top of that? I think again you said it. This is the best glow up like in the history of Legends. This is ridiculous. This is like Super Vegeta levels. This is Zenkai Super Vegeta level. Um, Final Hope Slash, who's living that when he properly built it up? He can definitely snipe Rose. He has the card into card to get around the disrupt. He has the green card to increase sub counts once his gauge is full. When his gauge is full, he is now supporting the team by 30% extra damage. You're running him next to Rose or else you're playing the game wrong. And Rose with 30% extra damage will tear through everything. So will Trunks. They do a lot of damage together. I just think it's pretty clear cut. These two were designed to be um, used together, but if you also think back to like how they did Metal Cooler, they made him underwhelming so that when 13 released, it didn't break the game. This is kind of the opposite. So Trunks was good on his own. When Rose is now that Rose is out, that good is like just fantastic, great number two unit in the game type thing. There's not much more to say. What else can I point out about this character? He has the arts cost increasing. He seals rush. He seals your entire hand when he proc his endurance and charges the unique gauge by 100. Obviously, cancel buff effects is really strong. He can go type neutral on battlefield entry when his gauge is full. So if you're not really worried about nap and you're not really worried about cell once that gauge is full. You have endurance. You have the one of the highest damage card stats in the game. You have pretty damn good stats, and your main is ridiculous. Cancels attribute downgrades, restores your vanish, heals by 30%. That's a lot. That is what we see on most endurances. I just think that this character is great next to Rose.
Yeah, I think one thing to note is that even with the amount of purples that we're seeing right now, mainly, most notably Perfect Cell and Nappa and the occasional Super Vegito, he still does decent against that lineup because, again, he has the type neutral, and I think the most susceptible he is against any unit is Nappa Vegeta just because of the long range blue. I've definitely had instances where I'm getting rid of Trunks' first life immediately, or just like
Mm?
very randomly, just because I have a ranged blue. But even then, even if you propped Trunks' gauge, that just means you're getting rewarded for doing worse than the opponent. I think Duresh mentioned that in a video. It just feels very cheap. So as soon as your endurance gets proc, you seal the entire enemy hand, you seal the rush, I think you seal the main as well. So
Yeah.
really, the only thing that the enemy is able to do at that point is overdrive. But that's such a rare occasion, at least in my own experience, that I don't really want to factor that into determining whether Trunks gained or lost value, because again, he just activates the transcendent mode or the prep mode, and yeah, you just sit down to climb completely.
Someone's dead. Yeah, I think that's a valid thing to point out with the overdrive. Definitely susceptible to that, but outside of that, this character is damn near perfect when run next to Rose. This character's great. Um, I believe it is my turn.
Yes.
Let's see here. Who do I want to judge? Let's do the rat. Let's do the rat. Uh, this has to be addressed eventually. Let's go ahead and get it out the way. I don't think this is a question. I think he's lost so much value. I think it's not even close. What do I want to start with? Rose guts his best team like they're fish. Obviously, now that Rosé's out, you're going to be running Trunks. Trunks has like 50% damage at 50% extra damage on this setup. He is shredding through Gohan. Both of those characters have anti-revive. If you dare run this guy next to Goku, next to Namek Goku, who dies to one Rosé Blue, and then at that point, it's just, well, when is Trunks gonna slash you and just kill you and nuke your entire team? I don't think Gohan can do too much. What I will say is Gohan has easier ways with dealing with disrupts than every other character in the game. He has probably the easiest way to deal with probably besides Perfect Cell actually. He cancels attribute downgrades on his gauge filling up and abnormal conditions. He draws a full hand of cards, draws a green that gives him cover null, gets a blue. I mean, there's not much you can do to disrupt this guy. When you swap in, he lowers your key and draws a card while increasing his own key. He has easy ways to get around disrupt, but again, I think Rose dropped and the meta is completely different now.
Yeah, before we go any further, I just want to mention, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, gaining and losing value does not mean that they're really good or really bad now, it just means exactly that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that, but yeah. I agree with everything that you said. Rose, if you're running the Sun Family character against them, remember Rose gets 30% extra damage. Is it to everyone or just himself?
It's to all allies.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So he's giving more damage. Rose obviously has a really favorable matchup against all the Sun Family characters, but I think a lot of the reason that Gohan lost value, apart from Rose himself, is that before this, of course, outside of the Sun Family and Bardock team with Gohan, Namegoku, and Bardock, the most uber juice you could get Gohan was on the pure hybrid team next to Trunks and Future Gohan, with Gohan being the best supporting character for Trunks just because of the amount of speed that you're able to use for long periods of time. But now that Trunks' best partner has shifted from Gohan to Rose, I think a lot of his value has gone from that as well. That's not to say that Gohan still isn't an incredibly annoying character to fight. He has insane disrupts. He has the lock-in. He has the AoE greens. He has the Vanishing Storm blues that reduce your speed by 100. He has. Did I mention the AoE green?
Yeah.
He has the Vanisher removal. Did I mention the AoE green? But yeah. So like a lot, he still provides a lot of value, especially his lock-in, which really can throw you off, especially if you KO this guy and you're not in with someone that has advantage. That means your opponent can essentially start to free combo just with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's still a very good character. It's just that Rose has such a good matchup against pretty much all Sun Family characters that it essentially reduced them by half. That's what it feels like.
Oh yeah, for sure, for certain. One more thing I want to note about Gohan. I mean, Precision said this earlier, but yes, just because he's in the lost value category doesn't mean he's like dumpster water trash now. This character, if in the right hands, can definitely still dominate a match, albeit it's much harder. He's a lot less free now, but he can still do it. I think Gohan still has potential. You never know what Anniversary could bring. But him and Rose being the same color and Rose being that much more dominant and prevalent than him probably means we're getting a Legend Green unit, which probably means Gohan's just only bound to lose more value. Unless they just make a really big oopsie and drop another yellow and purple on Anniversary, and that would be horrible. It'd be terrible.
There was one thing actually. Gohan can have a decent matchup against Rose, at least with his cards. Rose only cancel costs on Ultimate and Rush.
Yeah.
And Gohan in both Fury Rock and Close Enough has endurance nullification on his blue. So if you're able to catch Rose in a sidestep, then yeah, you could get him. But that's very rare
Pretty
because
rare,
Rose
yeah.
just has a lot of pull.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at the end of this part, I think I do want to go over what Rose is, what exactly he is for the game. That definitely be something. I believe it's your pick
Alright.
though.
Yep. What's the pick? Yeah, I'll do this one. Ooh, Android 13.
Okay. I was waiting for this
I
one.
Yeah, I think he's had such a good run, but he's definitely lost value at this point. It's a couple of things. Obviously, Rose has essentially replaced 13 being the main blue powerful opponent character on just any powerful opponent setup. You're not running 13 as often, and the fact that he released back in what was it like September, October,
I think it was
around there.
September.
Yeah, so that just means his numbers, like he's pre-legend status, so I think he's sitting around like I could be wrong about this 210, 190 around there for damage cards. So that means he gets
Yeah.
absolutely shredded, even despite his one-time all-around disrupt with the card destruction and the total Q reduction. I mean, Rose just hits you with one strike card and then one over what is it called, the area change attack,
Yeah.
and you're pretty much gone. That has happened on multiple occasions, even at 14 stars. Although, of course, 14 stars he does perform better, especially if you are at this point you should be building him completely defensively. And even then, if you look at just everything he does compared to what Rose does, Rose just goes far more. He arguably has a better disrupt than 13's blast ceiling.
For
This is
sure.
just less RNG focused on like, oh wow, if they switch out, they're gonna draw a strike card, and that means my blast seal is useless. But of course, that doesn't mean 13 is bad. He still has incredible support. I think it's 40% with full gauge. He has the anti-lock-in mechanic. Although right now, I'm not entirely sure how many characters, how many meta characters have a lock-in. I mean, there's Namek Goku. Is that it? Like a hard lock-in? I
Like a
guess
hard
that's
lock.
Bardock, but you're seeing him
When are you
after.
seeing him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, 13 does have that, but I guess Gohan has that too. Like, but it's very easy to waste that with Gohan because just how many lock-ins that Gohan has. But
Yeah.
yeah, overall, Rose has effectively replaced 13 at this point. Although there are some few teams that you could run that are really annoying just because he has the revive. So if you run Nav Vegeta, Android 13, and Rose on a blue purple setup, you got two revives, an endurance character, buff removal, insane setup counter manipulation. So yeah, he has some stuff going for him, but overall, Rose is just a better favorite.
Yeah, I think you hit it exactly on the mark, and I think we actually started seeing the decline in 13 a little bit even before this. I want to say around the World Tournament, I think everyone kind of noticed that yes, 13 was great in terms of disrupting and supporting, but golly, he could not take a hit. He couldn't take a neutral blue from Buhan. Obviously, Piccolo got his unique there, and Piccolo was probably two-shotting him. You obviously had Vegito, who was probably two-shotting everyone at that point. And then, as we've kind of gotten further down the line, we've seen less and less of 13. When Trunks dropped, people thought it would harm 13 a lot. It really didn't. Not until now, at least. I think now it's just like, well, now you're seeing Trunks pretty much every game, and Trunks probably can two or one card this character. Obviously, great support, very good first disrupt. I will say this, Rose can just bypass that, Trunks can bypass it as well.
Yep.
Um, and then you're seeing them every match. Cell, if you get a green card off, could probably bypass it. Um, who else? If you do the area change with Vegito, you could probably just tackle out of it. If you do the same with Bardock, you also tackle out of it. Piccolo obviously has the ultimate draw on area change, so he can definitely get past it. So I think there's just too much tools right now to get past what this guy really wants to do. which is take that first hit in the combo, you tackle out of it, or you catch your opponent out of it, and bang, your team is now obliterating them. And also, of course, Rose is blue, so he's competing with the best character in the game, and that never goes good for anybody.
Alright, I think
All
it's good.
right. Yeah, let's see. Um, let's see here. We don't have a red yet. I guess, no, we'll save him for later. Let's look at Red Bardock. Let's look at Red Bardock. I think it's unequivocal that this character lost every ounce of value he had. Um, I don't think you can't really comfortably use this character anymore. I really wonder why. It's strange. He was in most, or I wouldn't say most games, but he was in a decent amount of games before Rose, and after Rose, it's kind of like he just vanished. I really wonder why. I wonder what could have made that happen. I mean, uh, I'm really curious. It's almost like they dropped another Legend Blue unit when they sent kind of red. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Let's see. He before update or before Rose, he was actually pretty damn good. He was definitely top 10 material. He he has arts cost increasing, which synchronized really well with Yellow Bardock, and you would pretty much run them two together with. I mean, you could have any 30. It was usually Kaioken Goku or Namek Goku, one of the two. You could select Gohan there. You could have put although it wouldn't work, you could put Super Saiyan 4 Goku there. I saw that a little bit. And then Rose dropped, and this guy died. Rose like two shots this character before he's transformed. After it's a three shot, you get caught with one Rose blue, you're dead. And if you get caught with three cards, and if your Bardock's tanky enough to survive that, you get ulted and he's dead as well. Obviously, the lock-in definitely still does have value. He restores his vanish, draws a bunch of cards. If you have your rush, you just tackle main and rush, and it's pretty much GG from there. Or at least it was before a certain character dropped. Um, that was always a good play, or that into the overdrive, because it also nullified his element factor. So on paper, this guy was really good, and then in game, he performed really good. After Rose, you don't see this guy anymore. Which is really sad. This guy was a really cool release. He finally got his Zenkai. I was really happy for him, and now he is shot dead in an alley.
Yeah, I actually agree. I also just realized I had my mic settings on the wrong thing, so it should be good now. But I don't know if you mentioned this, but a lot of the value that Red Bardock brought was because of his great partnership with the Yellow Bardock, simply because it gave both of them better equipment options. But now Bardock's best partner is Rose. I think it's very obvious for that, and so that has effectively made the Red Bardock homeless.
Yeah.
Because right now, the partnership between Rose and Bardock is or Legend Bardock is completely off the charts. So there's really no reason to run Red Bardock anymore. And apart from that, there's just, you're not seeing any yellow besides Legend Bardock fight as often. And his matchup against Yellow Bardock is a little iffy just because even with the lock-in, Legend Bardock has the access to Indestructible, which makes his lock-in essentially useless, unless he's able to combo through that, which you're not really off.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, his main value was just because he gave Legend Bardock better equipment options than what he usually has, which is, I mean, we'll get to that in a second, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Red Bar. There's not really much to talk about this guy. Unfortunately, shot dead in an alley, caught in the crossfire kind of thing there.
Yep. Okay, who should I go for? Okay, this could be an interesting one. What about Legend Piccolo?
Okay. Hmm.
The first blue Legend character, this was a little tough because the original, like, quote-unquote powerful opponent setup, aka Regen, was just both blues next to Piccolo. But Now, if you want to run regen, there's really no reason to run Piccolo when you have Rose. And
Yeah.
the fact that Piccolo is ranged, which like it's very noticeable too that he's ranged compared to both Boos being melee and Rose being melee. That's just a better option for the powerful opponent team if you're trying to run the regen variant with Rose on leader. But on the other hand, aside from Piccolo essentially getting replaced on his best team, I think he could work well against Rose just because if you guys recall, the Piccolo has a very easy way of getting his unique gauge and with resetting his unique gauge, and every time his unique gauge resets, he gets card protection, which is good against Rose's Disrupt, his entering the battlefield Disrupt. He also has the resetting attribute downgrade, which is good against Legend Bardock. He has the Revival Disrupt, which is good against Nappa. So on paper, he does have a lot of good matchups in the meta right now. It's just the fact that he's blue, he's pretty much homeless because Rose has taken his spotlight, but because there's like a balance in like what disadvantages and advantages he's gotten, I'm gonna have to put him in
I yeah, I have him in the same category here. What I will say is if you want to run this Piccolo, you absolutely have to run him next to Nappa and Cell. With Trunks being so prevalent, I mean, does Piccolo really have does he have a chance against Trunks? No, and especially against Goku Black. Does anyone really have a chance against Goku Black? Some characters do, most characters don't. So I think you just have to play it safe. Run a revival character next to Indestructible. You have Cell to do extra damage if you need it. Piccolo does pretty good damage. Nappa can snipe out Trunks if you need it. I think that's Piccolo's best setup, but obviously, yes, he did get replaced on Powerful Opponent / Region. He's also definitely pretty homeless in most of his teams. Being a blast-based character, I mean, looking at the list we have right now, Cell can be built either way. Nappa, Vegeta were defense type. Or no, they're ranged technically, but they're definitely meant to be that defensive option. Trunks is melee, Gohan's melee, 13 support, Bardock is melee. I mean, you see this guy like none of the time just because of the typing he is. If he was Strike, you'd probably seen a lot more. But yeah, I think on his legend action is still very, very strong. His ultimate still hits like a truck. 100% damage guard penetration on that. He can draw with the legend action. And if you play it right, you can have neutral up.
because of his green card.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the issues with Piccolo is that he himself, even being a second life character, doesn't have a. I don't think. Does he have any sub-count manipulation from standby? I don't think so. I think it's only when he himself is getting hit that he reduces ally sub-counts. But that's a lot of the reasons that even on previous to this meta, if you're running him with Wuhan and Kitsu, you could go to Wuhan from Piccolo, and if the enemy, it's uses a blue card or anything, of course you had Kitsu on standby, but that wouldn't reduce Piccolo's sub-counts enough so that he could eat the hit as an indestructible character, which I think even now, right now is even more of an issue because just how heavy hitting a lot of these characters are, but Piccolo does have okay disruptive stuff. He has the card cost up, but it's only for the current enemy as opposed to Bardock and Trunks, who I believe both have to all enemies card cost up.
Yeah.
It's very noticeable that he's just able to switch, or you have a character that of course has attribute downgrade cancellation and is able to completely ignore his one defensive mechanic outside of indestructible.
Yeah, I think that's completely true, and I think they realized that having a character with a defensive mechanic like Indestructible or like Revival and not having sub-count lowering it's just flawed. I think they realized that when they made Piccolo because I feel like that was one of his biggest issues. Is he only lowers sub-count when he's on the battlefield. This is kind of like the reverse situation of Yellow Saiyan Saga Goku, where he would only lower sub counts if he was on standby when wanting a defeated allied battle member. That design choice was iffy. This one was definitely iffy, but Piccolo definitely still has his areas to shine. But overall, I don't think he gained anything. I don't think he lost anything either, though. Uh, let's see.
Oh no, it's your turn, right?
Yeah. How many characters do we have? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
We can still go a bit of ways. We still have to
Yeah,
support them listed as well, so.
that is true. That is true. Okay. Um, I think I'm done not doing this one. Let's go ahead and address Gogeta. Fusing Super Gogeta.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So this is a little tough for me. This is
I think
especially.
so too.
I really want to put him in gained value,
I do too.
but then it's also the fact no second life. He has a crazy disrupt at 50% HP, of course. That disrupt is still very potent. I just think it's a little bit hard to run him when you're just running against Nappa, when you're running against Perfect Cell. Obviously, you still have Legend Vegito. I don't know if you see him at all, but I barely see mini Super Saiyan 3 Goku. But he's he can definitely be a problem for Gogeta. But for every problem Gogeta has, he does have a positive. He is really, really, really good into Rose. He is really good into Rose. Obviously, he's always had a good matchup against Gohan. He has the Blast Armor Break. He has the Double Disrupt on both Goku and Vegeta's side. When he's being hit, he's lowering ally sub counts. He does have supporting with the gauge before he fuses. After he fuses, if he gets that green card with the full gauge, he locks in, he restores Vanish, he draws a card. When he uses the last card in his hand, I believe he draws 2 more cards, is it? I think this guy can definitely be good. I just think it's a little tougher to run him.
I agree. I think against Rose, obviously defensively, no one, not really anyone is thinking Rose, regardless of if they're green or not. It doesn't help that they're also considered Sun family, so Rose has the additional 30% damage.
Yeah.
But I think in the right situation, keep in mind, even post fusion, he has the lock in with the full gauge, which could get you sniping potential, but at the same time, Rose is also lowering those own sub counts, so it just makes it harder unless you have multiple green cards and none of that ever happening. Especially when RNG is usually not in your favor, it seems like in a PvP match. So I think he has the potential to lock in, because keep in mind he also has the endurance notification on entry. I can't remember permanent or not, but that doesn't really matter. But he has, like you said, it's the additional card drawing. It's just every time you see Rose, you're also 80% of the time just seeing Nappa and Vegeta, who one have the lock-in if against some family characters, two have the range blue cards, so they just catch you in a sidestep and you're gone. But I think that's pretty set for every green unit against Nappa Vegeta, and I think no one's really tanking right now, like that's Nappa Vegeta, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I think this guy's a really hard unit to play. I was in my first, rush draft of when I was thinking this, I was tempted to put him into game value, but obviously I haven't play tested him, so I'm not entirely sure on that. What were you thinking of putting him?
So I have him in gained value, but kind of with an asterisk. He's definitely gained value, but it's just very, very slight. You can notice there's a tangible difference. I think you actually run into more Gogetas than you do Daima Mini 3Ku. I think you run into you definitely run into him more than Piccolo. I'd argue you probably don't see him as much as Vegito. You don't probably see him as much as Gohan. But you can still see him there. I think I'll have him in gained value. And I actually do have a showcase for him going up in 2 days. And we're recording this on May 3rd. And we'll see what that looks like. I'm putting him here with an asterisk with a little if and when, I guess.
Speaking of Super Saiyan 3 Goku Mini, let's go ahead and get to this bomb here.
Oh.
I think it's very obvious that he's lost value even more. Daima in itself we're essentially boost merchants, and I think the 3 best outside of Mini Goku are the 3 Tamagamis. Like you're not even seeing them that often. Tamagami number two is red, gets obliterated by Rose. Tamagami number three can be decently bulky, but Rose has a lot of ways to get around his insane 50% disrupts with the amount of double card draw speed, with the force card draw speed, with the Legends action into blue card. I think Tamagami number one obviously has the best matchup against Rose simply because it's green, but also because he has the faint blue procs, which are valuable. I guess the Daima, of course, in itself isn't that much of a team, and that has essentially hurt Mini Goku because he has so many of his more valuable mechanics tied to having either one additional Daima ally or a full Daima team. I believe it was if you have one other Daima ally, you get 50% additional overdrive charge rate, which was good with the mini 3 Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, but you're not even seeing him anymore now that he's off the A tier boost. Um, I haven't even put him in the list here. I don't think he's unfortunately not that relevant right now. But that was there. Another thing that's tied behind having a full, I think it's a full GT team. I can't quite remember, but he gets the buff removal from standby. Was that a full GT team or
It was just one other, I believe. It was just one other. That's when he
even
gets
that?
the
Like,
sub count
what
lowering cancel
other
buffs.
what other diamond member are you running in this meta? He also
Exactly.
gets he also gets sub count manipulation with another diamond team member, doesn't he?
Yeah, when the
I
enemy
think
uses big move, Ultimate Awaken Arch or Rush, I believe.
he gets. There was one other thing. Was it additional damage guard? It was in his first unique ability.
I thought that was just the overdrive charge rate.
It wasn't in his It wasn't in his whatchamacallit, his starter ability. Let me check real quick on a different
Oh, okay.
page.
So when he uses
It
his
says three.
gauge, I know
Oh
he
yeah, it says
has.
three battle members and unique gauge is 1% or more, 20% gauge, and damage guard 30%. I think that he needed that because base he has 260 guard, and that's just not cutting it right now when units have 280, 290. I
Yeah.
mean, even the purple trunks can get 340% damage guard, and he's still okay tanky. So him being at 260 is just isn't cutting it. And it also doesn't help that, I mean, where are you running him over Nappa or Cell or Vegito? He's just one of the bottom tier of the top tier purples, if that makes sense. So he's essentially just homeless, which is unfortunate. No one really liked his release, and no one really likes him right now either.
Yeah. To add on, I think it's ridiculous that you need. So he has the Golden Frieza effect for strikes. I do believe I went over this in a showcase. He increases strike arts cost by 50 when entering the battlefield, but only if your entire team's alive. Why that's a condition, I have no clue. Um, on his gauge, he's supporting Daima or Saiyans. Cool, that's fine. This guy's Sun Family. Rose hates Sun Family. Two cards, you die. Um, having conditional buff removal technically is good, but not when it's Daima. When it's like one of the most unloved tags ever, honestly.
Shout
Um,
out to.
shout out Ku. Everyone's paying for his crimes right now. I think only his. So he does lower arts costs, but only on his strikes. I think that should have been a strike and blast effect. I don't know why it's just on strikes. I think that's a little bit logical. Um, and honestly, I think this character just kind of felt empty on release.
For a
Um,
legend character, for a new rarity, him being like what the third or fourth legend character, he
yeah.
just didn't. He just felt very basic. In comparison to Super Vegito,
Hmm.
it's just you get another legend purple character when we really should have had a full color roster of legend characters, and they just went, nah, you're getting another purple.
No, another purple. Now we have another blue.
Yeah, yippee.
Um, okay, my turn, my turn. Uh, hmm, 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 hmm. Who would be fun to? I guess. Okay, we've brought him up like a ton. I think it's time we finally judge this character. Let's do Bardock.
I was thinking you were gonna do that.
Yeah, Is this really necessary to be said that he's gained value? Let's see. Who would have thought when a blue unit exists that a yellow unit gained? It's almost like we had a situation with that when blue and yellow were put together on the same team for about 6 months. It's almost like we had a meta entirely. It's almost like we had a meta like that. Okay, let's see. What is the most annoying thing about Bardock? I guess annoying in the sense that I don't like is his damage. What is going on with this? I don't know. Sometimes he can two-tap units. Other times he does like actually nothing unless he has a defeated battle member. Yeah, I think he's way too consistent on that front. However, defensively, this guy is probably one of the best defensive units in the game. When he's hit by an enemy arts, he is stacking damage for 15 counts and increasing enemy arts cost by 10. So innately you're rewarded for letting your defense unit be a tank, right? However, you go to his unique gauge and it only charges slightly when you're hit by an enemy, but normally when another ally is hit by an enemy arch, that doesn't really make sense to me. I think this guy should have had the same charge rate, or maybe flip it around. But other than that, this character is ridiculous. Let's see, lower sub counts, restores his unique gauge by 30%, and then lowers power when enemy activates special move, ultimate arts, awaken, or rising rush, I'm pretty sure. When he enters the battlefield, he is destroying an enemy card, and then when he is hit, he's obviously increasing arts cost. I think the best thing about this guy is his legend action, canceling buff effects. I think that was a really good touch, a really nice touch to put onto it. Cancels all the neutral, all the reds had. I'm pretty sure every red in the meta when he dropped had neutral. Buhan had neutral. Trunks and Mai, I'm pretty sure had, or not blues, I mean purple. Mini 3 Goku, or wait, no, I am right, reds. I'm losing my mind. Buhan. Oh yeah. So yeah, it was purple. Okay, I am losing my mind. So he dropped Mini 3 Goku had neutral. Super Vegito had neutral. You wouldn't see him crazy often, but Corrupted Merge Zamasu, he had neutral. Let's see here. When they dropped Nappa Vegeta and Perfect Cell when they got their buffs, they have neutral now. So I think his...
To be fair, sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine.
Does have uncancelable neutral because the buff is on DD.
That's right, yeah. So with the... Yeah, so sole exception of Nappa here. I think him canceling buffs right before he goes for his ult is probably a little bit better than canceling buffs on activation, because now I want to be right in saying this. I'm pretty sure your buffs or your debuffs act after the enemy's buffs. So let's say they buff up before you hit them with that arts attack, they pop a green, they go neutral or whatever. When you do your quick attack here, it'll only ever activate after the enemy's buffs. That's why when Beast, Gohan, and Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, Beast got Endurance on Rush, but Gogeta was able to nullify it. Because he got that after Beast got Endurance. That's why it would pop that little Endurance nullified tech. I think that is really good for Bardock to have. Also, we mentioned this before, but he is definitely Rosé's best partner. If not one, then he's number 2 to Trunks, but I do say he's probably Rosé's best partner. The one thing Rosé is not good at is stopping the entire enemy team with one buff or one debuff. Bardock makes up for that. So the one area where Rosé is weak, Bardock just goes ahead and makes up for. So I think running them two together is pretty ridiculous. One last thing, he is yellow. Yellow is a super valuable color right now. Tons of strong purples in the meta.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything, most of everything that you said. The damage inconsistency with him is a little weird to me. If we just take a look at his kit, of course, a lot of his damage is lost behind having a dead ally. I believe it's 40% for Dead Ally, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And in a meta where no one is dying because everyone has a second life, Rose, Nappa, Vegeta, Trunks, this Bardock, Revival Gohan occasionally, Namek Goku with overall KO guard, even though he has lost value, which we'll get to in a bit. It's just really hard to get the damage numbers up until a lot later into the match where it really doesn't matter as much anymore. I think that's a lot of the reason that his damage does feel off, and another reason is just because he lacks good equipment outside of being next to a Team Bardock member. The awakened equipment that awakened next to him, the PvP equipment from Goku and Bardock's release, it requires you to have another Team Bardock battle member, and it gives you a considerable jump in buffs. I think it's like 5% additional, 5% additional, uh, base or pure damage. Gives you, I think 2% more HP. It just has more buffs compared to the normal PvP equipment that you're forced to run because you're not running this guy next to Red Bardock. There's that. He also has access to the co-op equip that released next to him, which gives him like 12% pure offensive and defensive. But other than those two, the PvP equip and the Awaken equipment, you're forced to rely on the defensive PvP equipment that released next to his season, and that I think is limiting his damage a lot because the other damage equipment uh, that you would be running if not for the restrictions would be the co-op equipment from Goku and Bardock's release, the one with Bardock reaching out with the green background. Unfortunately, the pure strike damage on that equip is locked behind having a Goku battle member, and of course, unfortunately, Goku Black does not meet that requirement. And surprisingly, there aren't that many Gokus in the battle. I know, shocker. You have
Finally.
Namek Goku occasionally, you have the two Super Saiyan 4s, but outside of that, you don't really see a Goku.
Yeah.
And that is, again, limiting his equipment options. One thing that I do want to mention about what you said, you said you wish that his charge rates were reversed from being more from standby and less from standby to more on when he's on the battlefield. I actually disagree with that. Just because the amount of uptime that his indestructible is able to have, I believe on standby it only takes haha joke, 6 or 7 hits to proc his indestructible, which isn't really that hard to do considering the combo potential of Rose. I think that could get out of hand really quickly because right now he already has a lot of uptime. When it's indestructible, they gave him a full gauge every time an ally is defeated, which can be very annoying when they, coming down to the wire, you kill his second to last uh, battle member, and now he has indestructible, and now you have to wait all over again. But yeah, that is very annoying. So I feel like having higher charge rate on the battlefield could get out of hand really quickly. But yeah, I think his main issues, even though he of course he did gain value with Rose, is just his damage inconsistencies. I get that he's a defensive type, but a lot of it just feels bad to run. I know it felt bad for me. Like, why is he doing puddles here, but then when I'm getting hit, it's like I'm getting run over with a truck.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of nuance in the way Bardock works, and I think even though he was not liked on release, just the fact that Rose has come in and become his best partner has gained him a lot of favor with a lot of the community.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much true. I mean, that's all of it. I think Bardock right now is a really, really safe pick, and I think he's gonna last throughout Anniversary, just due to the nature of his character.
So incredibly annoying.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's my turn now. I think we can do like 3 more each, and then we can move on to part 2. But I think Buhan. Let's go with him.
All right.
One. Buhan, he is red, which means he is incredibly susceptible to Rose if she catches you in a sidestep and you just get nuked with the blue or a area change attack into a blue or something like that, which is, to be said for any kind of superior elements interaction. But on the other hand, Buhan I think is a very good partner for Rose as well. They're both melee powerful opponents. Rose is giving Buhan access to some incredible equipment, mainly the Rose specific equipment that released next to Rose. A lot of the issues that Buhan had outside of a regen powerful opponent setup is that he didn't really have a solid third equipment, in my opinion. What I was running, you're obviously running that incredibly stacked Majin Buu Saga genius equipment, and then I was running the equipment with Buhan on the cover that's giving him all those base stats like special move damage, strike attack. But for a third, he didn't really have a solid pure attack option. You had two base attack options, but other than that, there isn't really anything that I can think of unless you wanted to go for one of the regen awaken equipments that's giving 5% pure regen battle number or something like that. But now with Rose, you're running him next to Buhan, you have access to Rose's unique, which is giving him like 35% base strike attack and defense, as well as 12% pure strike attack and defense, which is an incredible equip for Buhan just because he is able to output a lot of damage now with that pure equip, more so, and it's very noticeable too, in my opinion. His counter gauge is still incredibly annoying. It can definitely work well with Rose if you're not getting one-carded like any red in the game. But he still has some decent matchups. Of course, Harlock is running around the main yellow character, and if you catch him with the counter gauge, you could definitely go for KO because remember, Rose does not buff the move special move card, so that means you can't get rid of Buhan's type neutral. He still has the AoE ultimate, he still has projectile green, he has the card protection for 3 counts when he enters the battlefield. He still has a lot of stuff going for him, it's just right now we do have an uber powerful blue that kind of keeps check on him, so for those reasons I'm going to put him in same. I don't think he gained value or lost value, just because the benefits and the disadvantages kind of took away.
For the majority of the part I do agree. I probably agree on everything you said. I would just say I'm putting him in lost value because I think his matchup against Rose is pretty horrible. Obviously you have to get going with Rose to get the blue, but you can also randomly draw blues, and if he does that and Rose PVs you, goodbye Buhan. Okay, the Buhan doesn't survive. But you are right. Tackle projectile green still super strong. If you're running Buhan and Rose, you're just gonna throw Cell on that team or Nappa, and if you tackle with Buhan and they try to strike you, you just swipe, go to Cell, use the green, you lock in for 3 counts. So I think he synergizes pretty well with Cell and Goku Black, but I think his matchup against Goku Black is a little too one-sided for me to be comfortable in putting him in same. But I will say, out of all the characters who have lost value, he's probably lost the least, in my opinion. Let's see here. Who do I want done? I obviously want to say some big hitters for you. Let's see. I guess we can take a look. Do I want to do this character for the jokes? Okay. Do you have Super Janemba?
You know what, we can add them.
Alright, that'd be awesome.
I know you have that.
Oh, man. This character is terrible right now. This character is horrible. There is no point in using this character. Where do I start? He does no damage now. He can't tank. His disrupt isn't great anymore. What's another thing? He gets decimated by Buhan. He gets decimated by even Ultra Super God Vegeta or whatever. Um, let's see here. What's another thing? Oh, yeah, that cool thing where he used to do a lot of damage with his blue card because he got 80% extra damage and drew a blue card if the enemy switched. You'd think that would work well with someone who can also passively draw blue cards, right? No, wrong. Wrong, because again, Janemba does no damage even with the blue. Obviously, I think his strongest asset is his ult, Vanish Restore, and Dragon Ball Restore. That is good, but outside of that, this character is absolutely not worth it. I don't think he can make this character work at all. Using him showed me that it is super hard to get that second gauge off to restore your Vanish and get the extra damage. And you also have to build this guy up, which takes time from Rose, and you don't really want to have selfish characters next to Rose. You want Rose to be the only selfish character there. Um, I would say pretty much outside of Cell, because Cell has other ways to where he can just stall for Rose to come in. So I think that's the difference between Cell and Janemba here.
I agree. At this point, he has pretty much aged out, which is weird because well, I guess 7 months is quite a while, but I think the main issue with him, I was definitely more of a fan of him than Gogeta on release, because he felt more fun to use, he felt more skillful to use, rather than just playing the cards and then fusing and then locking in and permanent endurance notification and yada yada yada. But I think the main issue with Super Janemba is that he only has one way per switch-in to get Covernal, and that's just using the card the first time. After that, he doesn't have any way of getting Covernal. Does he get 2 times card draw speed? I can't remember if he does.
If he does, I don't notice it, but I want to say he does. Let me go ahead and check. I do have him. Still have that horrible team I showcased him on. That was a real mistake. I can't believe I convinced myself to do that. Let's see. Janemba.
He has the base card draw speed. Yeah.
Oh, it's his gauge. It's his gauge for five counts, huh? Okay.
Yeah, he only has 5 counts to Covernal too. So after that, you are playing a very dangerous game, running. You know, continuing to attack with him. And like, yeah, he has like, I never was a fan of his disrupt because it's when hit by enemy arts, you steal the rush, you restore or you reduce tier reduction or tier recovery by 60%, and then you lower all enemy draw speed by 2, which sounds good on paper, but that's a lot of the issues that are very similar to Super 82's gauge, or who's another unit recently? Oh yeah, mini Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta's gauge. It's just that all of these mechanics are just so outdated because they have moved from characters relying on card draw speed to characters being able to force draw cards. Rose, I think, is less following that, in that he does rely on card draw speed. But in most cases, you look at the top characters in the game. Super Saiyan Trunks, he's 4-star cards. Bardock is 4-star cards on entry. Buon 4-star cards. Just a lot of these characters are really ignoring the minus card speed, which can have somewhat of an impact, but not as much as it would have if they just gave him cards destruction on top of that as well.
Yeah.
Again, so him only having the 1 instance of Covernal really, I think, is his worst. The worst design choice outside of his defensive, just pseudo disrupt outfit. But
Yeah.
the fact that you're not really running any yellow outside of Bardock next to Rose, I think that also would hurt him, because outside of damage wise, I think theoretically. So yeah, he has pretty much been out-aged at this point. His role is replaced. He's not really doing much anymore, which is unfortunate. I think he was cool on release.
Definitely. He was definitely one of my favorite units to release in the game, so it's kind of sad to see him down here. The bottom of the barrel. You can do one, I'll do one more, and then we'll probably call part 1 there.
Alright, sounds good. Let's see. I think I did do one before, so let's go ahead and do Kid Buu.
Kid Buu, okay.
Um, this one's also a tough one for me because he does work well with Rose. Of course, he has the AoE green. He has I've always been confused. Does he have an AoE ult? He does, right?
He does have an AoE ult, yes.
Yeah, I thought so. The short range green card with the force blue card draw. I think he does work well against Rose because Rose, while he does kill two cards on the first hit, he doesn't reduce. I think you mentioned this with Bardock filling in the disrupt holes that Rose has with whatever. Uh, Rose doesn't have any form of reduced card draw speed, so Kid Buu with his full gauge, with the double card draw speed, can pretty much just ignore the card destruction. That was the case for a lot of these units that had card destruction with Super Saiyan 2 Gohan destroying two cards on entry, with Namek Goku destroying two cards after like two gauge resets. Uh, who else was there? I don't know, I can't think of it on the top of my head, but yeah, him having the two times card draw speed on top of not caring about buff removal. Because again, Rose doesn't have buff removals on blues. There are stipend potentials there if you are able to time it right, and just be careful about Rose's sub count reduction every time he gets hit. But on the other hand, I think at this point you are able to notice a little more that Kid Buu just isn't able to tank as well as he used to when he was on featured boost next to
Yeah.
Gohan. Kid Buu only has buff removal on rushes, and Rose just has an insane amount of access to ult. He has three ultimates, so he can really just whittle Kid Buu down if you get caught once. But I mean, he does. They do work well together towards the AoE green into Rose's blue thing. That's two units that have double card just easy access to double card just speed. You have again snipes with Kid Buu. He has the snipes with Rose when you're using the legend action. But yeah, I think Kid Buu still has a lot of value. I'm not really sure if I want to put him in gain value or loss value. I think he's another, at least for me, he's in the same boat as Buhan where he has decent matchups and bad matchups against Rose, whether it be offensive or defensive. So for those reasons, I might have the same.
I actually did put him in same as well. I think for as much value that this character has lost with just region becoming non-existent at this point, he he gained it back in accordance with Rose. Um, if you really wanted, you could just slap Kid Buu on leader for future, and you may be able to make the bench work if you just don't try to Zenkai buff Kid Buu, and I think Kid Buu would do okay there. I don't think he's horrible in Dead in the Water. Obviously, I think he has a really great matchup into Cell. I think his matchup into Cell is probably the best matchup he has. Nappa's a little bit trickier, just because Nappa has Revival. But I think, again, AoE Green turns all your hands into strikes. It gives 10 counts of cover null with double card draw speed. Pretty much Majin Vegeta at that point. I will like to say the one thing about his green card is it actually doesn't draw him a card. It only swaps the cards in your current hand. So that could probably be a little bit tricky there. What else about this character? Yeah.
I think another thing on that note too is that if just because of the amount of Kid Buu or the Kid Buu green cards that you're able to draw with the blues, it's like suffering from success, but you can just flooding your hand against green cards, which could maybe difficult to work around. Because I mean, if you're running Buhan and Kid Buu together, Buhan's force destroying the greens after using the blues from his counter gauge, and then you give them to Kid Buu, but then Kid Buu is already drawing another green card. So just like this, oh my gosh, I've more green cards, more short animation green cards than I need, which sounds good on paper, but yeah, it's very easy to
Especially
show
since,
off on blues that you don't want.
yeah. Rose Force draws blue. Kid Buu gets him on his green card. I'm pretty sure it's specifically on hit, as well as he draws those green cards on battlefield entry, which again sounds good on paper, but it's really, really easy to just have your hand full. That's actually kind of happened to me on Rose, where I'm just comboing. I draw a blue naturally, I get another one with the gauge, and then I get another one right after, and it's like, okay, this is enough. You literally can't play the game with that hand.
Yeah.
Um, so it can definitely happen when you stick these two characters together. I think another thing, like another side effect of sticking those two characters together is you're just taking the slot away from the best yellow in the game, which is Bardock.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, I do agree. I think he kind of stays the same. He's floating around the same area as he was before.
Yep. That's pretty much it. You got one more, don't
All
you?
right. Yeah, yeah. One more here. Let's just hmm. Who do I want on here? I want to take these four away from you. Let's do. You have Kaioken Goku, right?
Yeah, the green one.
Yeah, let's do him. I think he can kind of be interesting right now. While I won't say he's super great, let me just pull up his unique equip real quick. While I won't say he's super great, I do want to say that I think he has a pretty decent matchup into Rose simply because he also has a long range blue, and Rose does not cancel buffs on blue. I think that plus the damage support, plus he has a little bit of disrupt. He takes away key. Yeah, yeah. And then he's also 3 times when entering the battlefield, he's drawing a green card. And theoretically, if you wanted to run still that double Bardock and Kaioken Goku team, you just feed the greens to Bardock, either of them. Again, that team is a lot more risky with Rose running around and one of your teammates is red. But you could probably make that work. I think another good thing about this guy is how slippery he is. How do you catch this character if they play right? He has a double vanish. He has vanish restore on the main, so that's another double vanish. And he has blast armor as green. So if you go, most of the time, if you go for anything against this character, a good player will just swap or not swap, dodge and then swap. Or they will dodge, backdash, or not backdash, but backfloat and then dodge again. Super slippery. He does also draw an ult if he has a defeated ally, which is a lot more prevalent now with Rose around. But again, having a defeated ally is a pretty harming stipulation. But I think overall he is probably the same as he was before. Probably still in that like 15 to 20 range.
I agree with pretty much everything you said. He's also one of those iffy characters for me because while he is green, he has the range blue, like you said. He's also Sun Family, which means Rose is supporting 30% more damage for the rest of the team. And Kaioken Goku can get sniped by Nappa Vegeta's long range blue. Rose in particular, of course, he has access to type neutral blue, and Kaioken will die to that. And the team you're mentioning with Kaioken and Double Bardock, that's just a really risky team to run considering the amount of second life mechanics that you're seeing right now.
Yeah.
And I think I was definitely less of a fan of his unique equipment than a lot of people were, simply because it's really easy to waste the green cards that Kaioken Goku draws. In that, if you are entering into the battlefield with Kaioken with a full hand, that green goes to standby, and when you use the strike attack with Kaioken, that green card gets overridden with the fourth strike card that he draws, which was definitely incredibly annoying. And even if you were to go for a blast to try and force the green card to get in your hand before you overrode it, there's always the chance that you get cover change, and that's just not a good feeling, not being able to get that green card off, whether it be because you're trying to get into your hand or you have a strike and there's just no way of avoiding it. But I think it's nice that he draws 3, which kind of makes up for it, but at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty sure that's about it for Kaioken Goku, and that'll be it here for part 1. This will go up on technically both of our channels, but I'll be the one uploading it. We'll use the collab feature, and then part 2 will be uploaded by Precision shortly after, hopefully. But yeah, this is just part 1. If you want to see part 2, go ahead and check out Precision's channel. Thank y'all for watching this part at least, and until next time, be good, y'all.